are interested, helpful for us to know like what is helpful and what we talk about. And I'm going to end there. And it looks like we have, the last slide is just giving credits to where we got our pictures from, so we don't violate any. So anyway, so I'm going to end there. And then I know, Gail, you were going to, it sounds like, have a broader opportunity for questions, whether it's about conservatorship, about employment. So
recording stopped.
Okay, Maria, I just want to tell you that was really great. And it's something that we really needed, because I get a lot of calls, people asking about jobs, and I come up with some ideas. But what you just gave us is powerful. And I really, really appreciate it, because a lot of people that when they're recuperating or recovering, they just have the families don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And you're right. When they have any job at all, they start to feel good about themselves. It's really important. And to me, it's part of the recovery process. So I really, really appreciate what you just did. I do. And I love it, because I saw Maddie text me, and it's going to be on the website, on the NAMI Urban LA website, because there's a lot of resources in there. So thank you very much. I do have one quick question. People, because a lot of the people we deal with are extremely bright, but they want to go back and get maybe fine-tune their education into an area that now has changed from what they originally did, and maybe like for graduate school or maybe finishing college. Are there resources in that packet that you just sent that would help them, because they don't have any money, with funding for advancing their university education?
So you're talking about maybe scholarships or some kind of financial aid to help them? Yeah. That's a good question. I know that I believe in the slide about community colleges, I talked about some resources that might be available, but in the description that you're giving, you're talking about, it sounds like advanced degrees, like even post-bachelor's. So let me look into that. And I have some staff that's really helped me put this together, who is an expert in this field. So let me ask her about that, and then I can send that information to you, and you can send it out to the group.
Okay, I appreciate it. Two specific people that I'm thinking about that had called and asked. A lot of people, they're brilliant in math, brilliant in science, in art, music, things like that. But a graduate degree in math, think of John Nash, what he did, in social psychology or something like that. They were hit with these illnesses later in their life, and it just threw them for a loop. Mm-hmm. So they lost their, some of their resources. But if there's something like that, that would be, I think, most helpful. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Absolutely. I'll get back to you on that one.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes. So I wanted to continue down the list. I'm not sure if they're still here. I'm going in the order that they have raised their hands.
Okay.
Is Kevin still on the call with us and would like to ask a question?
Oh, I got the answers during yes. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for everything.
Okay. So Kevin, and then the next person was Denise, and then after that is Nadia. Or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Denise Riley, is she here? Are they here? If you could unmute yourself. Okay. She has unmuted herself, but we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, my question is, my loved one has been hospitalized numerous times. I couldn't get the conservatorship at that point. He is currently incarcerated now. They did the notice of doubt. So they did a competency hearing, and the first one was considered not competent. So while he's incarcerated, he's doing the training, to see if he can regain competency. My question is, trying to get LPS conservatorship for him, do I have to wait till that last competency hearing is done before I can try to get that for him?
So this is Connie. I'll jump in on that one. Is it a misdemeanor or a felony?
It was actually, I guess, for vandalism. So I don't know if that's considered misdemeanor. Yeah,
So,
and it's been ongoing for a while now. The case has been in court for like a year now, but just earlier this year was when they did the I guess the doubt hearing. And so, like I said, right now he's been incarcerated since May, and he's having a lot of issues there. He just went to the Hope Center, which is like in a juvenile part. I don't know what they do, like de-escalating there. But even there, I'm trying to let them know that I want to pursue conservatorship. He was in a FSP program before, and that didn't work out.
are we talking about a minor?
He is now 19. When the case was first happened, he was a minor. And so we've been riding this roller coaster up until now. He just made 19 in July.
But the case is in juvenile court?
Yes, ma'am. They transferred him from the county jail to juvenile hall.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so juvenile hall is designated to do a referral, but you will have to wait for the competency proceedings to be completed and see what they will do with the competency proceedings, if they'll restore him or not. If he's found unrestorable, the juvenile hall is designated to do referrals.
Okay, so I have to wait for that last to see if because once he finished the training and then they have him evaluated again, at that point, rather they say yay or nay will be my next move.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, do you know what medications they're putting him on?
He's not on any. He refuses medication. We went to court earlier this month, and the judge made an order that he needs to be evaluated for a type of medication. When he was home, he was on Seroquel and Abilify. The last hospitalization, they gave him a 30-day injection, and then he would not take medication after that. He refuses medication.
So Gail, I'm just going to jump in in the juvenile court. They have different rules about medication. So there will be specialists that will be asked to evaluate, and there's a medication desk, and things have to be approved by the court in terms of medication for anything in the juvenile court.
Okay, Connie, if he's refusing medication, I know they can do the Reese hearing. Now I don't know about juvenile court.
No, none of that applies in the juvenile court. It's the process by which there's a medication desk and there's specific doctors that will do the evaluation. The court needs to order that. Sounds like that's what they've done. And then the court has to review what the recommended medications are and then has to approve that.
Well, what about since he's 19? Couldn't the doctor at the jail now initiate the LPS conservatorship now that he's 19?
So he's still in juvenile court. So he's in juvenile incompetency court. It's a complicated situation, but you can remain in juvenile court up to 25 actually. So it's got to run its course through the juvenile court.
Oh, that's just.
Because I tried speaking to the mental health liaison person there to see if he can get a forensic mental examination. And what they told me was the type of exam that I'm looking for him, they don't offer in the juvenile hall. So I'm just like running back and forth trying to figure out things to help him get through this process.
Yeah, so you're going to have to let the competency portion run its course, and then they do have the ability to refer. Juvenile hall is designated to do referrals, so they can make a decision at some point to refer, but they're going to probably wait to see what happens with the competency case.
Okay,
and last refer that to LPS, Connie, or
yeah,
what?
To public guardian.
Oh, okay. So you think maybe she can talk to the public defender give them a history, symptoms, and gravely disabled and ask the public defender?
No, it's completely different in juvenile court. So, and their competency runs differently than it does in adult court. Even though he's an adult, he's not an adult for the purposes of what's happening with his criminal court case. They're still having that go through juvenile court. So it runs a little bit differently. It would be juvenile hall the doctors with juvenile hall that would be the ones that would assess. It's not correctional health in the jail that would do the assessment.
Could she request those doctors?
No, you can't. It's not in the juvenile court. It doesn't work the same way as it does in adult cases. And with correctional health services, it runs differently.
Just seems terrible to keep them sick for so long. It doesn't
I was also told by the mental health social worker, I guess, that I can try to fill out the AOT form when he comes home, and then, maybe see that. But I wasn't sure if one would stop the conservatorship if I do the assisted outpatient treatment. Will they still let me apply for conservatorship?
Well, first of all, you can't apply for conservatorship. That has to be a clinical decision by the juvenile hall psychiatrist. We can only accept a referral from a clinician who's designated to do it, whether that's juvenile hall, the jail, an acute hospital, a home team. You can't do that. You can't do the referral. That has to be done by a clinical designated clinician. If there's a referral to AOT and AOT accepts, AOT is an alternative to conservatorship. So if you'll recall when I was talking about the fact that before we can get to conservatorship, we do need to try all of the other alternatives that are available, including AOT. So I always recommend to family that if you have not tried FSP, you've not tried AOT, those have to be tried first because conservatorship's last resort. So definitely AOT is an option for you once the competency case is resolved.
Okay, even though he was under FSP prior to competency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
AOT is like the next step up if you're looking at like level of care kind of a situation. FSP, then AOT, then conservatorship. Because AOT can get you a court order for treatment. It doesn't get you a court order for medication, but it does get you a court order for treatment. And that's considered an in-between step between FSP and conservatorship.
Okay, so go ahead and just fill that out and submit that because they did tell me to fill it out and submit it to Department of Health.
I would, definitely. Okay. Department of Mental Health, DMH.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. So our next persons are Nadia, Kathy, Donna, and Leah for questions.
Yes, hi, I'm Nadia. Thank you so much for this unbelievably informative meeting. And Connie, I did send you an email with probably too many questions, but I would really appreciate your reply because I was so nervous that I wouldn't get to speak. Just few other questions I have. So very shortly, my 31, I'm joining from the East Coast. I'm in Maryland near DC. However, my wonderful 31-year-old who does have a bachelor degree in business finance and minor in international business and environmental policy, whatever, he is now currently homeless in LA. He left dual diagnosis program where he was sober for 6 months, but I'm pretty sure he was medicated in the wrong way by 4 different medications. One is made to mitigate side effects of others. And finally, he left the program, stopped the med, and here we are, and I'm 3,000 miles away. So his situation is, again, he lost his ID, his wallet, his phone. He called me almost every day from random numbers, and it all started beginning of July this year. He got separated from the car, whatever that means. His car is somewhere in San Diego. I don't know where his phone is and what happened with his wallet. Bottom line, he has a clothes on his back. He's agitated, clearly at times psychotic, clearly very stressed, clearly sleep deprived because obviously he's not feeling safe on the streets. I think that hospitals routinely commit make very bad mistakes, because my son needs continuity in treatment and put in the right medication. He about 10 days ago was at the Mission Community Hospital in Panorama City. I think it's north of San Diego. On hold, released in a few days, stopped the meds, but he was discharged into the homeless shelter, and he did everything right. I got him an Uber. He was there at 7 a.m. and his bed was not secure. He basically was released on the street, no beds. So even if I didn't have any mental illness or stress, if I was without the documents, not being able to get any bed anywhere, I probably would go a bit crazy, honestly. So he's clearly.
Where is he right?
LA. He's somewhere in LA. Last call I got yesterday was, first of all, 2 days ago, he went to emergency room at UCLA. He was at UCLA hospital, psychiatric hospital, a year ago. There were 97 people in that emergency room. He was waiting for a few hours to be seen, and he left without being seen by the doctor. Yesterday he called and he said, I'm being detained, I'm being jailed by UCLA University Police. I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, excuse me. Can you ask us what the question is
Here's
first?
the question.
And you
Number one question is, I tried to keep him on my private insurance, although he does have SSDI, therefore he does have both medical and Medicare. And I always wonder, is it wrong for me? Well, first of all, private insurance opens certain doors, but I also heard that in California, it's better not to have any insurance because they would get more services through the state. And I heard that California got poured a lot of money into mental health. And I'm like, where is the money? When Danny calls next, well, first of all, about insurance. And second question is, when Danny calls me, what should I tell him? Where to go to get shelter? That's what he said. Mom, I need food and I need shelter. Who can help him with restoring ID? He is there with apparently foot infection, walking around, roaming the streets. How can I help him? Or where is that, for example, outreach? I know that I heard Connie saying there's an outreach kind of program where people go. Should I tell him to go to a specific place where he can get maybe like free phone, or maybe like being seen by the doctor for the food infection? Because he's scared of the hospital. He's traumatized by the hospitals. So
Nadia, this is Connie. So I have your list of questions. And so I'm going to consult with our home team. It sounds like he would be willing to work with the home team if they did outreach to him.
Exactly.
And that they could start to work on some of that. So why don't you give me a couple of days? Our offices are closed on Monday, but I'll work on it. I'll make consultation. I'm going to consult with our home team to see, if they'd be willing to make contact with him. The thing is, we're going to have to find out where exactly he is and try to connect the two entities, him and the home
Correct.
team.
Yes, and that's exactly what my question is. If he calls and he tells me, I'm here and here and here, and just I need treatment or whatever, what can I tell him? Should I tell him to go to the hospital, which is far away, which is like has a fewer people in ER? Or should I tell him to call somebody from your team? Or should I tell him,
let me get you those answers. Okay. Let me find out where, if there's one number that you could refer to, and then you could give him that information, depending on where.
I heard that there is 211 number, but I think it's useless because he called already, and it's kind of more general. Yeah. What is FSP? Last question.
Full service partnership. It's a 24/7, all that it takes kind of program, wraparound services to the client.
Thank you. And how does one get that one? I have no idea.
Well, he would have to be a client of the department, and he could get referred to an FSP program either with the department or with a contracting agency.
How can he get a client of the department? That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get him somebody.
Nadia, we can give you the list of all of the clinics in LA County.
Wonderful.
And then you could, wherever he's at, we can find the easiest clinic that he could go to seek help.
Wonderful. So in other words, I can tell him help is on the way, just wait a little bit, I'll get you the right phone numbers, right?
Yeah,
I'll just
I'll
wait.
work on all that information. I'll answer all your questions and get that all to you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Okay, so the next person left before we close up, I have Donna and Leah. Thank you.
Did you want me to go first, or?
What question did you have, Donna? Mine's long.
A lot of my questions actually were answered. I totally misunderstood Gail when she helped me before. And I did ask the doctor repeatedly to initiate a conservatorship while Stephen was in the hospital, and they consistently ignored me. So possibly maybe they weren't designated. I don't know, but he's in a residential, in an intensive crisis residential treatment center now. I don't know if that and he has committed to 45 days. I don't know if that psychiatrist there will initiate anything, but I'll ask. One of my questions.
He would have to be if he's in a private facility and not in an acute psychiatric facility. That doctor's not designated to do referrals. Okay. So
then it's just not going to happen while he's in this situation. Obviously.
No.
And then again, it could be just like what you're saying after time, and we'll see what he does. Maybe, who knows? We always hope the miracle is going to happen with our loved ones. He did get accepted to AOT, but he was on a waiting list for 6 weeks. By the time they communicated with me, he was already in the hospital, and now he's in Orange County. And so I was wondering, is there an AOT in Orange County? Or they said they could not work with him while he was in Orange County. So that's kind of the question. Is that true? And is there an AOT in Orange County? And he's having a very hard time at this facility. And it's not a lockdown, so.
Yeah, there is AOT in Orange County. Jim, are you still on the call?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, do you want to answer that for AOT in Orange County?
So could he be transferred to the Orange County one?
Yeah, just know that, if you're a resident of a specific county and you're going to move to a different county for services, you have to change your Medi-Cal over to that county's services. So yes, it's doable. You have to apply, go to CalOptima, just look up CalOptima and get him on just basic, Medi-Cal, and, transfer the Medi-Cal to Orange County, and then you could reach out for AOT services.
But there's no way the AOT here can help him while he's doing whatever he's doing in Orange County right now temporarily. And will he lose his spot in AOT here when he's back?
I can't answer that.
He can't go back and forth from one county to the next. He's either a resident in LA or a resident in Orange County. But LA does not have the authority to go to Orange County and give him treatment. So if he's receiving treatment in Orange County, I would suggest that you make him a resident and apply for AOT over there. Now, it could have been the reason AOT took so long to get him involved was because, Connie, correct me if I'm wrong on this, there was a moratorium on them accepting anybody else at that time and having more cases. But I believe that's been lifted at this time.
So, I know AOT's had wait lists, and certainly, through COVID and the pandemic, outreach and engagement, and even the court process has all been impacted. So I can't speak to whether or not AOT currently has a wait list. But unfortunately, that's probably what was happening during COVID, is that he was waitlisted until they had available services that they could get to people.
Yeah, and so technically his residence is my house, but he did something so horrific here that prompted him to be taken by the police in the whole scenario. But criminal charges were not pressed, but I've been told by the landlord if he steps foot on the property, they will filed criminal charges against him. So he's almost like someone with no address in the sense of his limbo situation while he's over where he is. And my private insurance is covering what's happening to him now. Medi-Cal and everything is not covering him.
Yeah, I do know that AOT is not going to be able to outreach or engage him while he's in Orange County.
So I guess my concern is when he comes back to LA, are we going to have to start the AOT process all over?
So I can't speak to that. That would be something you'd have to follow up with the AOT here in LA.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Leah, Kathy, and Liliana are probably the last questions we can ask. Again, I am putting their contact information on the chat. We also have more resources online, and always feel free to email us for any questions.
Okay.
Okay, 2 questions. One, I had asked Connie, and I didn't want to interrupt too much, but with the letters of conservatorship on your guys' website, it says like optional. I'm not sure why it's optional because I thought those were mandatory to show whenever you needed to get authorization as conservator to treat someone, but those letters of conservatorship, are they the ones the court would give you if you became the permanent private conservator? And would they...
So, Leah, this is Connie. Those are not the ones that, I mean, the county has, the court website has some things on there. And I need to verify what the current form is that they're using. In LA County, they use, I believe you're in San Diego because I saw some of your messages. The letters of conservatorship will be different in every county. They will look different in every county.
Yes.
In LA County, we use numbers. So power 1, power 2, power 4. I will get a copy of what the current letters of conservatorship look like for private conservators. They look different than the letters for the public guardian because our attorneys draft it. So I'll have to get back to you on what they exactly look like.
Okay, I gave you my email. I just put it in the chat. So if there's any way you could email it to me, that would be really, really appreciated because I gave a sample of what San Diego County letters look like and like an idea of what LA letters look like. And then the second thing is you were talking about juvenile court. And I just wanted to leave a link of what San Diego. Some people have children who have aged who are adults but still involved in the juvenile system. And you were talking about the juvenile correctional system, and then there's also a thing with the juvenile. Some people have mentally ill children who are taken in by the juvenile dependency court system. So our county has a link for information about LPS conservatorship for any people here who might have a child under the jurisdiction of child welfare services, but also want LPS. So I was going to ask, could I leave that a link about how to get informational link about conservatorship in juvenile court?
So in LA County, the public guardian does do conservatorships for minors, but only for individuals who are within the jurisdiction of DCFS or probation. And they would have to still be in an acute hospital, and the referral would still need to come from that designated facility for that minor. And we get very limited powers. We're not the lead agency on a minor. The lead agency remains DCFS or probation. The only thing that we establish conservatorship for is to do involuntary, to continue to do involuntary placement. Once the minor is able to be in an open setting, our conservatorships for minors are terminated.
Okay, then I can leave it at that. I just, again, was saying that only because I've had experience with the dependency court system, and a lot of parents will ask that question. Sorry.
Thank you. So we have Kathy Marshall to ask her question, and then Liliana.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, most of these are yes/no questions. If I understood, we're not supposed to start with a conservatorship. We have a 23-year-old male who lives with his mother. He's violent. We have to get him out of the home. So the first step is not conservatorship. Is that correct?
The first step is hospitalization. If he's violent, get him in the hospital right away. You don't want him to commit a crime and go to jail. So if you can get him...
Okay, I understand. How do I get him in the hospital?
Call 911.
Okay.
I remember beginning of that class, we showed you how to put together a history, symptoms, and gravely disabled. But if he's violent right now, get him in the hospital now, then worry about that. I mean, you want to be safe no matter what.
Okay,
And
so
then,
I can only call 911 if he's violent, correct?
if he has a propensity and he's threatening, you don't have to wait for him to actually do something. If he's starting to threaten, get aggravated, and a lot of anxiety, just quietly go outside, call 911. But now keep in mind, because the police many times are taking like 4 hours to get there.
Correct.
So that is a problem, but have your 3 questions. Did you hear the first part when we were talking about LPS conservatorships, building a case, asking the questions?
Yes.
Did you hear the first part? Okay.
The second part said that the last resort is a conservatorship.
Okay, they would want, when he goes into the hospital.
Okay.
I take it he's been hospitalized before.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I would contact assisted outpatient treatment.
How do I contact them?
That the number is on the back of that resource. If you go to NAMI Urban LA, they have LPS conservatorship information. It has that history, symptoms, and gravely disabled. And at the back of that page, bottom of the page or that whole packet, there's resource numbers.
Okay, bottom of what packet?
Of a LPS conservatorship information.
Got it. My second.
Okay. The third number down is AOT. Contact them.
Got it.
And ask them, tell him, especially if he's in the hospital, this is where he's at. Please, you fill out the form and get him under AOT as soon as possible.
Okay, I understand. My next question is, again, after AOT, am I supposed to try FSP? And what is